The sides haven't met in the Championship since 2011. They've had some great battles in the league in recent times, as recently as February on this ground when Dublin came from 5 points down to draw the match. Mayo waiting for the winners of Dublin and Tyrone, the second All-Ireland Senior Football semi-final, and Tyrone with Niall Sludden on the attack straight away. That's gone up towards Cian O'Sullivan and broken nicely for Mick Fitzsimons. Con O'Callaghan on his own 65 with a precise foot pass out. James McCarthy. There have been doubts about Dublin coming into this game, and that's down to Tyrone's class. Here's how they will give their first answer to those doubts, but Colin Kavanagh got right in the face of Ciarán Kilkenny, blocked him first and then got in his face afterwards. It's Niall Scully who is picking up Peter Hart. David Mulgrew has got free as Niall Sludden takes the ball down, and Mulgrew has got in around the back, and Dublin look exposed, even though the ball forces Mulgrew to check his run. Now it goes through to Matty Donnelly. He's met by a Dublin wall, but they've fouled him, and Donnelly will make those bursts forward all day. Such a skillful footballer. Certain point coming up.
Yeah, what a wonderful piece of football. Beautiful crossfield ball that time. I think it was from Sludden to Mark Bradley. Bradley held on to the ball, given was it Sludden that was taken down actually, or Mulgrew, and the free kick now to Kavanagh. That was lovely enterprising football, great change of direction in the attack. First score coming up.
From Sean Kavanagh, and it is tapped over the bar, and Tyrone lead by 1-0 score in the second minute.
Yes, just let's see the kick-outs, how they come now. Tyrone are pressing up very, very tight on Dublin.
And Cluxton has bombed that forward towards Niall Scully. Won it cleanly too. Peter Hart taken out of the game, although he come back at it. Now it's James McCarthy. McCarthy skips away from the cover. Now Hart got back to it. He covered a lot of ground, Peter Hart, to get back there, but giving away the free, a cheap free. We mentioned that Tyrone don't give away too many of them cheaply, but that one was soft.
Well, that was an exercise in simplicity. Fantastic kick out from Cluxton all the way to Niall Scully. He fielded, transferred it. Direct attack at the Tyrone defence. Tyrone indisciplined, gave away the kick. Rock now has an easy opportunity, just as Kavanagh had a couple of moments ago.
He may not get an easier one all day. Let's see now what Niall Morgan does with his kick out. The two managers, you're not going to see much emotion from either of them all the way through this match, win, lose or draw.
Send like the pair of them.
Dublin pressing up on Niall Morgan, and Morgan does exactly what Cluxton did on his first and reaches the opposing 65-metre line, but 2 against 1 for Dublin, win the ball back, and James McCarthy in a similar position to where he won the free about 60 seconds ago. Niall Scully back behind Brian Fenton, and Tyrone have got 14 players sitting in this very sophisticated defensive system. Ciarán Kilkenny, Jack McCaffrey, the width from Con O'Callaghan. The two wing forwards will hug either sideline as Dublin, well, they're happy to shift it from side to side, and loads of movement within the Tyrone 45-metre line. Philly McMahon, that's John Small. Dublin have left 3 players back. Cian O'Sullivan is actually on the Tyrone 45-metre line, and now they've got to get back as the move breaks down. Niall Sludden for Tyrone.
Yeah, that's a tactical foul that time. Stopped the counter-attack at source, so to speak, but very, very patient play, and what a great interception.
Peter Hart, decent shape on that, but he just couldn't get it through to Mark Bradley, the furthest forward Tyrone attacker.
Yeah,
the idea.
Oh, very much so. But as you said, there's only one player, and that is Mark Bradley inside the Dublin half of the field.
Ciarán Kilkenny. Con O'Callaghan had got free. Niall Scully has seen a fair bit of possession. Great catch as well, and that's not one of his better shooting opportunities. So that's the first wide of this All-Ireland semi-final, and it's come in the 5th minute. Yeah,
Tyrone will be very happy the way they're pushing Dublin from wing to wing, so to speak. They're getting their 14 bodies right in along the 45-metre line and back, and creating trouble anytime Dublin come forward with the ball, and they will be depending on turnovers to actually execute their own counter-attacks.
That was careless from Niall Sludden, who won a good kick out, took the mark as well, and now Tyrone are a little bit exposed. Dublin has got 4 forward. There's a gap for Con O'Callaghan. McNamee out of the game. Con O'Callaghan through! Goal! Oh. What a strike! This fella, he's a star already, but what a way to start the All-Ireland semi-final for him. 1-1 to a point.
The turnover, unfortunately, from a Tyrone point of view has cost them. O'Callaghan was direct, explosive and clinical the way he took that. That is a wonderful goal. So well taken and confidently taken by Conor O'Callaghan. That's a great response from Dublin.
And that will shake Tyrone for sure. You do not expect to see their defensive system cut open like that after their mistake. The turnover, second goal they've conceded in the championship, but here's the reply. Matty Donnelly on his left boot, and that one has gone well wide.
Yeah, we spoke a couple of moments ago actually about the importance of good handling and the conditions perfect for good handling, but that Tyrone mistake where they lost possession of the ball handed the opportunity to Dublin and they exploited it.
And here they come again. Niall Scully, Kieran Kilkenny, the man of the moment, Conor O'Callaghan. Cathal McCarran reading some quotes from him during the week, talking about the way the Tyrone defenders set up in diamond shape. The first player goes out to try and engage the ball carrier. Second one tries to get in if they can get close enough and rip the ball away. But Dublin are moving the ball and zipping it around, probing for openings. Their confidence will certainly be high after O'Callaghan's goal. Niall Scully.
And you notice the way, Dara, they have 4 men over on either sideline, just getting width, as much width as possible actually to their attacks.
Kieran Kilkenny, that's Niall Sludden in front of him, and Kilkenny takes on the shot, but he's dropped it into the waiting hands of Niall Morgan.
Let's get out! Let's get out!
So Tyrone's point from a free, and it was mentioned in studio earlier about their games in Ulster and then the quarter-final against Armagh, where they conceded, well, in the 3 Ulster games, 5 points in each first half of those matches, and then 4 in the first half against Armagh.
Yeah, but I would agree with the boys. Ulster Championship this time, or this year rather, wasn't at the same level as it has been in recent years, and I don't think they have been really tested. In fact, their defence in particular hasn't been tested to the extent that they will be today.
Colin Kavanagh left it after him. It allowed Scully to get in. Comes back to Tiernan McCann, who now works in Dublin. And McCann, well, invited to shoot from 46 metres away, and that's a really nice score. He did, and scored from a similar sort of range in the quarter-final. Beauty of a point.
Yeah, well, when you have so little movement up front and so few players up there, you have to take responsibility accurately from the middle of the pitch to put it through.
And Tyrone scrambling back again. And there was a collision of feet between Ronan McNamee and Paddy Andrews, free out Tyrone. But Dublin pumping the ball forward quickly, and then it's caused an issue.
Yeah, but they're very quick to the ball. They're very quick to the breaking ball already. They're growing in confidence. That goal has really settled them.
And Scully is absolutely flying. So is James McCarthy. Width again from Paddy Andrews. Kieran Kilkenny was free in the centre, but Paddy Andrews has slotted that one over the bar. When they were talking in the week about the possibility of Connolly starting, his name popped up as somebody who could come out of the team, but he's got his first point, 1-2-2. Yeah,
and worryingly from the Tyrone point of view, Kieran Kilkenny had ghosted right through in front of the goals that time had Andrews spotted him.
Kieran McGeary, Sean Kavanagh. Peter Hart. Now that's for Mark Bradley, and there's 2 near him, but Bradley won the ball beautifully, and he has put that one wide. Stephen Cluxton, initially you saw him signal it wide. That's fair enough. We were waiting for the umpire, and Cluxton able to get the ball back in motion so quickly and short out to Cian O'Sullivan, and off they go again.
Yeah, but Mark Bradley is a thankless job up there. He's been marked by 2 if not 3 Dublin defenders. He's diminutive. He's finding the ball has to be perfect to him. That time he snatches it somewhat though.
Jack McCaffrey, Paddy Andrews could get another one here. Yeah. You don't expect to say this, but that's too easy. Tyrone aren't putting pressure on him.
They're not getting to the pace of the game whatsoever. Dublin have just set a tempo that Tyrone are finding it very difficult to live with. Jim Gavin will be thrilled with this. The superior interplay that Dublin are they have, it's manifest so far, and their finishing has been absolutely wonderful. Very high standard, scores from difficult conditions, and the goal was an absolute, it was the collector's item.
That is Ronan McNamee who's receiving treatment, and Tyrone have sent out a couple of subs to warm up. One of them I can see from here is Richard Donnelly. But Paddy Andrews What can you say about that?
Well, the problem you have when you have a screen defence, very often kind of individuals aren't picked up. You're depending on actually guys to kind of, you know, occupy zones, so to speak. And Andrews has got his 2 scores from opposite sides of the pitch. So he's drifting over. Nobody is actually tagging him one-on-one. And as a consequence, he has that freedom to take scores.
Issues for Mickey Hart to deal with early on. Padraig Hampsey is fouled. Tiernan McCann. Conal McCann, his brother. Tiernan did well to keep that under control. They need some support. There's a wrestling match, McGregor style, off the ball with John Small and Peter Hart. And, well, it took Hart out of the game. The officials didn't see it, but Mickey Hart, I've just seen making a point to the linesman.
Yes, and John Small has actually, I think, been delegated to track Peter Hart anytime Peter Hart comes forward into the attack to support the Tyrone front line.
Miles Scully. Philly McMahon. An unusual atmosphere around Croke Park. The place is full, 82,300. Now the volume will lift a bit. Brian Fenton with Tiernan McCann, Paddy Andrews, Jack McCaffrey. They've had one long period of possession where they got sloppy and Tyrone were able to put the pressure on, but
yeah, well, they're happy enough playing like this because Tyrone are the team that has to come out and play. They're 4 points down. There's only 10 minutes gone. You know, the onus is on them to actually change their tactics. Dublin are very happy.
Here's James McCarthy now, and McCarthy has Sean Kavanagh there with him. Kieran Kilkenny, Paddy Andrews, John Small, who was man marked. See, it's Con O'Callaghan as he is unable to hang onto the ball, but beautifully keeps it alive. Kieran Kilkenny invited to shoot. Another one, another point. A long period of possession, extreme patience, and that was the result.
Yes, we talked about Dublin's capacity to counter at speed, but we hadn't factored in actually their ability to be as patient as we have seen so far. They're just quite prepared to move the ball right and left, back if needed, get a guy into an optimum position, and particularly get their kickers into optimum positions. Kilkenny did the needy that time. But Andrews is one of the guys, I think, coming in here that hadn't a good scoring record. Am I right in saying that before the game? But he certainly has started the game with an awful lot of purpose.
That's asking a lot of Colin Kavanagh, and there were 3, maybe 4 Dublin players around him. And the team going for 3 in a row, certainly not playing like a side who are struggling for desire, hunger, spirit, all of those things that in certain places were put forward as doubts about them. Here comes Paul Mannion, haven't mentioned him at all in the game so far. Mannion! Great stop by Morgan. He seemed to lose control of the ball. There was serious pressure on him, Paul Mannion, but Morgan pulled off a fine save out for a 45.
Yeah, it's a wonderful bit of individual quality by Mannion that time, getting forward. Good goalkeeping, good anticipation by Niall Morgan. But the boys were saying earlier in their build-up to it, it's very often the unstructured thing that makes a difference. That time Mannion decided to take on the responsibility, drive harder than the defence, stretch to Tyrone players. Unlucky maybe in some respects not to have got a major as a consequence.
So Dean Rock lining up the 45. Gavin Devlin, who's Mickey Hart's right-hand man, is in giving instructions to some of the Tyrone players.
Well, certainly this is the last thing Tyrone had wanted actually coming into this game, was to give Dublin a lead. They would have hoped to frustrate Dublin from the word go. It ain't happened.
Well, conceding a goal inside 5 minutes wasn't on too many scripts apart from those in Dublin. With scoring inside the first 5 minutes, Rock with the 45, he didn't catch that, Colin Kavanagh did. So that's a bit of a let-off for Tyrone. The gap remains at 5. Ronan McNamee recovered from his earlier knock. Just even if the early signs aren't great for Tyrone, can all change in a second.
It can all change in a second if you have guys up the field, but they have no forwards up apart from Mark Bradley in the corner position. They need to just change slightly how they're playing. There's another free conceded
by James McCarthy on Niall Sludden.
Yeah, well, yes, sir, I know in situations like this, David Goff actually booked players for fouls like that. I would expect this time McCarthy will suffer the same fate.
Yeah, there's a yellow card for James McCarthy.
Yeah, I don't think he kind of any complaints about that. Again, a lazy tackle more than anything else. I don't think there was any great malice to it. But when it goes head high, when a guy's taken down like that, there's only one outcome, and that's a yellow card.
Here's Peter Hart. This Tyrone team during the week, I think, was by Enda McGinley, former Tyrone great, described them as the best prepared, most professional team to ever come out of Tyrone. It's been put up to them, but that's a big kick from Peter Hart, their third of the game. And they're only 4 back, and we've only been playing for 15 a bit minutes.
They're only 4 back. Again, that will help. That will help to get them, a foundation in the game. But Dublin are winning all the breaks.
Free at the end of that collision after the Cluxton kick out. Philly McMahon just floating that in towards Paul Mannion, who has looked lively all year. Con O'Callaghan, Dean Rock, quick hands, quick thought, quick passing, quick shot. Another one.
Oh, it's beautiful interplay. Wonderful, wonderful quality of forward play. Even though they are being crowded out, they're managing to get that little bit of space for themselves. Mannion that time, and Rock, a lovely little 1-2 with one another, and just unerring accuracy from Rock. Screwed it over the bar. Beautiful play.
Get him there, Sonny.
The work rate from the Dublin team is really something to behold. A free.
Yeah, but they have this ruthless efficiency. Anytime they get close to goals, there's, it's a lot of their scores. The goal in particular was a wonderful example of economy of effort. It was so simple, good quality kick passing, and again a strike of the topmost, class from a good distance.
Here's Peter Hart. Matty Donnelly. Mentioned him a couple of times, but he ran straight into Paul Mannion, 2 very physically strong players, Padraig Hampsey. And Dublin have 15 players inside their own half to cover this Tyrone attack.
Yeah, and as we speak, even inside their own 45, Dara.
Cathal McCarron, Matty Donnelly, Mark Bradley at 5'7". Here's Colin Kavanagh, he's a bit taller. And Tyrone having to deal with Dublin's defensive screen, and Con O'Callaghan just wasn't strong enough in the challenge with Colin Kavanagh, and that's a really fine point, and maybe that'll be the kickstart that Tyrone need. O'Callaghan just not physically strong enough.
Yeah, and he took on the responsibility. He went for it. He realised that the short play, the interpassing wasn't getting them anywhere. They were going around in circles. He said, to hell with this. He, had leadership, took on the responsibility for it. That's a very encouraging point for Tyrone, and badly needed.
Kieran Kilkenny. Jack McCaffrey. Little pocket of space, oh, he's brilliant. Swing of the hips and he's away. Here's Philly McMahon. A bit on the isolated side. Con O'Callaghan has space and just jinks away from the challenges. They are just playing irresistible football at the moment. Forwards who are in the form of their very young lives. This was super.
Super, and who was beside him? Philly McMahon, the cornerback. Why is he there? Because so many Tyrone players are going back into their own half of the field. They're inviting Dublin attackers on. That time, lovely bit of foot movement before he put the ball over the bar from, who was the last guy? Was Con O'Callaghan. Great score.
Tiernan McCann of Tyrone. Mark Bradley furthest forward. Niall Sutton now joins. Padraig Hampsey's in an interesting position, but he's been covered by Johnny Cooper. But there is some width, and there's an option for David Mulgrew, the 19-year-old. It's gone wide, unfortunately, for him and for Tyrone. And the referee is not letting Stephen Cluxton take the kick out too quickly, because his attention has been called to something.
Yes, I think Sean Kavanagh, or I'm not
Niall
sure.
Scully.
Niall Scully's been spoken to. Something happened there off the ball. I didn't see what it was. I think it might have been along with some coming together with Sean Kavanagh.
And Scully gets a yellow card for his part in whatever that was.
Be interesting to see how Cluxton goes about this restart. Tyrone are pushing up on them, but look at out in the middle of the field. Philly McMahon is wide open.
In acres of space, and have a look at this. Pinpoint accuracy from Stephen Cluxton. But what were Tyrone doing? Sure, they pressed up on Cluxton, but Philly McMahon was screaming for the ball. Brian Fenton has gone into an advanced position. Kieran Kilkenny.
The Tyrone defence is all over the place at the moment. That time actually Scully was inside the defence, had Philly McMahon seen him, but they're just strolling around. They're doing what they wanted. They're playing the orchestra at their kind of, at their pitch, and Tyrone have no answer to them.
There's loads of width. Here's Mick Fitzsimons on this near side. Dean Rock is hugging this sideline. Niall Scully was on the sideline in front of Mick Fitzsimons, but now he's drifting in towards the goal. Mannion coming out towards Fitzsimons, and he's playing like a right corner forward at the moment, or what used to be a right corner forward. They're not really that anymore. Paul Mannion, Mick Fitzsimons. Dublin have everybody inside apart from Stephen Cluxton and Keane O'Sullivan. They've 14 inside the Tyrone half, and the runners popping up all over the place at different angles. Brian Fenton got free, and Fenton fires that one over the bar. That is a gorgeous score. It has been all Dublin in the first 21 minutes of this All-Ireland semi-final.
They're running riot with Tyrone, and Tyrone are simply, they have to change the way they're playing. They're inviting Dublin onto them. It's okay to have this well-formulated system if you manage to get ahead of your opponents, but when you have conceded early scores in the way Tyrone have, there is no point to continuing to keep everybody in the backfield, so to speak. You've got to get guys getting into a much more orthodox forward situations.
Kieran McGeary is the player who's gone down injured. That was the reason Niall Scully got a yellow card. Coming together with Tiernan McCann, but will they be able to change, Martin? So much time, effort, preparation has gone into this defensive system and the counter-attacking strategy, and one of the big fears was if Dublin managed to neutralise that, as well as ripping apart the defence at the back, that Tyrone are in bother.
They are in bother, and you always expect Tyrone to be extremely combative, to bring a sulphurous dimension to the game. They haven't been able to do that because they haven't got their hands on the ball, and it is Dublin who are dictating matters.
Well, look at that. Colm Kavanagh ran straight into another blue screen. Here is Sean Kavanagh, and he takes on the shot, but he's put that one wide. So that's their fourth wide.
Yeah, that was a good opportunity for Kavanagh, good chance for Kavanagh. A lot more room than he actually realised, and had it on the right side of the ground from his point of view. Normally he would score, opportunities like that, but David Coldrick again is trying to, speak to somebody. Whatever happened to the ball, we didn't see it, but I think it's
John Small,
yeah.
And I think there's going to be another card. So that is certainly, well, there are three negatives from the first half so far for Jim Gavin, with McCarthy, Small and Scully all on yellow cards.
Yes, and I wonder technically actually should Niall Scully not have got a black card because of the fact that he stopped a runner coming forward.
Johnny Cooper, his chance to come forward. Kieran Kilkenny. By a fair distance, the most Tyrone have conceded in the first half of a championship match in 2017. We made reference to the recent league meetings. The last two of them ended in draws. There have been two Dublin wins, a win for Tyrone, all 1 point in them. Here comes Jack McCaffrey, Paul Mannion. Dublin in different sort of form today, but there is still a long way to go. Niall Scully, Brian Fenton off the back of a peach of a point. Keane O'Sullivan just moving the ball so quickly. It's pace, power, energy. Con O'Callaghan got his goal, and he's in again. He's in again. A goal and two for the 21-year-old.
Oh, it's beautiful football from Dublin. It is patient. There's variation to it, but there is this blistering line speed, in particular when they go up along the wings, and they're just ripping Tyrone apart. Tyrone haven't come to terms whatsoever with their man-to-man marking. Nobody seems to take responsibility in particular for going on Con O'Callaghan. He's getting on the end of moves, and the quality of the distribution to him is just top drawer.
At the moment, they're on a totally different level. Philly McMahon. There's lots of pointing and shifting around from the Tyrone players inside their own 45-metre line, all 14 of them. Now Mark Bradley has decided to come back and try and put pressure on Keane O'Sullivan.
And there's not a Tyrone player actually in the Dublin half of the field. They have every one of them back. And you know, they have been programmed to buy into a particular system. When that system isn't working, you have to dismantle it. Tyrone have been very slow to do that. In fact, they haven't done it.
Here's Paddy Andrews. That's Ronan McNamee there in front of him. And that has gone against Paddy Andrews.
Yeah, I think what Paddy Andrews there did that time, he actually grabbed the arm of the defender and actually tried to kind of create a foul against himself, but he was the one that actually was doing the fouling.
Dublin have got the last 3 points of the match. Tyrone haven't scored since the 17th minute. Niall Sludden. Matty Donnelly. Now Kieran McGeary. Peter Hart under serious pressure. That was John Small marking him. Declan McClure is going to be in next time the ball goes out of play for Tyrone. Kieran Kilkenny, as the reigning Leinster and All-Ireland champions continue to run riot and continue to pick holes in this much vaunted Tyrone defensive system.
Yeah, but just watch the way they vary the pace of the game and the angles of running. They're just toying with the Tyrone. Famous last words.
Well, Dean Rock has given them a bit of a gift, and here goes David Mulgrew. He was fast-tracked into the Tyrone setup straight out of minor. Huge talent. Kieran McGeary. Peter Hart is the furthest forward now, out of picture as Matty Donnelly gets away from Con O'Callaghan. And now there's a possibility. Here comes Cathal McCarron. McCarron, beautiful dummy from the corner back. He did the hard part and then, well, it was put under the squeeze, and out come Dublin.
Yeah, but the number of Dublin defenders that got around Cathal McCarron that time. OK, one bought the dummy, the second one did not. Now we have the counter-attack in place once more.
And it's very swift. James McCarthy, Brian Fenton, Dean Rock. That's Aidan McCrory in front of him.
Well, there's no doubt about it, the way they have played up to now. Dublin have rendered the Tyrone blanket defence absolutely useless. They are not getting the grips whatsoever with the Dublin method of playing, and Dublin are simply toying with them.
Just very few people predicted the first half would go along these lines.
Yeah, but when you hear, you know, the hill chanting every time there's a pass kind of executed successfully, you know that it's just kind of taken on the mode of a challenge match.
It's not really welcome, though, is it? I know, was it the Mayo fans got stick for that sort of thing earlier on?
No,
in the championship.
I think it was the Roscommon fans that were booing Andy Moran, as far as I can remember. You see, Tyrone, nobody seems to know what they're supposed to do. They're just manning certain lines or kind of getting volleys in between lines, but nobody is pressing up whatsoever on the actual ball carrier or the guy in possession. And Dublin are just doing what they want to. It's just becoming, you know, to be honest about it, just a stroll for Dublin.
Well, Tyrone need to change quickly, but this thing could drift even further away from them. Cian O'Sullivan, how many passes have Dublin put together now? Just moving the ball from side to side, patiently waiting. And there's another opening here. Con O'Callaghan, look at Niall Scully's run forward. Scully wasn't picked up at all, and just, well, it's a free out. And Colin Kavanagh trying to lift the players around him.
Yeah, he's doing his best, exhorting the players to up their performances, get more effort, get more into the game. But, you know, it's a bit of a lost cause at the moment. So few of them are able to stamp their authority on the game. The leadership that we had hoped to see from a lot of the players, man of possession in particular, just hasn't manifested itself so far.
Kieran Kilkenny catching Peter Hart in possession. Conal McCann is the player to go off. Here's Declan McClure wearing number 21. Another really talented footballer, but he's come into a difficult situation, but it's certainly not the end of the road. We head towards half-time. Sure, the lead is 7 points. It's big, but there's plenty of football still to be played.
Yeah, well, I think Conor McCann, the actual game, just bypassed him. He was unable to kind of deal with the runs of Ryan Fenton. James McCarthy also was just running right around him. You know, the guy who's come in now, McClure, he got 3 points, I think, already in the championship. But once more, he has a big, big responsibility now.
Padraig Hampsey, the turnover, you know, they were sure Dublin can do it, but it's classic Tyrone stuff. And, well, at the moment, Dublin are out-Tyroning Tyrone with the word they are defending.
Yeah, but they're so sharp on the tackle, they're so quick onto the break, their support play is just excellent. Tyrone are playing in ones, they're ponderous when they get the ball. The movement up front isn't there because the players aren't up there.
Matty Donnelly. Cathal McCarron. They could do with a goal before half-time. They're not going to get it, and that's the corner forward, Paul Mannion, with his second one.
Yeah, that's the second time McCarron has attacked up the wing. Last time in the other corner, and he's finding it very difficult to get back. The point I made earlier, actually, Dara, about the fact that all Tyrone have played this year has been teams from Ulster, and they have never really been put to the pin of the colour in any one of them. Today is a step up just that they could never really have imagined. Dublin are just in scintillating form.
And they weren't really tested either in the championship this year. Dublin, John Small, Niall Scully.
Yeah, but they're very formidable there today. They have a wonderful appetite for battle. They're playing when they have to with intensity, but just they're playing with great intelligence as well.
Jack McCaffrey, Philly McMahon ahead of him, more width from Paddy Andrews. McCaffrey again. Just moving the ball around as well, and it's sapping the Tyrone energy on a very humid day.
Humid day. Tyrone are chasing shadows that they cannot get their hands on the ball, and this absolutely rips the heart of a team, kills the legs when you're chasing, not getting your hands on it, and the other team are just dictating the tempo, they're dictating the rhythm, and they're dictating the possession stakes. Here's
Cian O'Sullivan, easily away from Sean Kavanagh. Philly McMahon, he knows where the posts are. He decides instead to shift the ball out to Jack McCaffrey, and McCaffrey dropped it short.
Be a little bit disappointed with that. He got, executed a nice dummy, got forward, underhit the ball, gives Tyrone an opportunity to counter-attack, but they're not getting forward quickly enough in numbers.
It's 15 minutes since Tyrone last scored. Last year's team, one of the deficiencies was the problems up front, the inability to score goals, the inability to run up big points totals. That was rectified this year, but the problem is back, sure, against the best team they've played this year, Kieran Kilkenny.
Yeah, but when you think about it, in the entire championship up to now, like Tyrone had only conceded, I think, a goal and 46 points. But today, they're just being run ragged by Dublin. They haven't encountered anything like this quality so far.
Here comes Johnny Cooper. Now it's out to Con O'Callaghan.
But the tactic also, actually, Dara, the width that Dublin are getting on every attack, they're deliberately hugging both tram lines, and consequently they're getting ball out to these guys, and Tyrone don't know whether to go wide or stay in a knot around the middle, and they're just in two minds all the time.
Paul Mannion. Here's John Small.
Yeah, you hate talking about the scale of ineptitude maybe due at the moment from Tyrone, but unless they get a goal or a couple of scores quickly before half-time, the game will be as good as
over. Here's Brian Fenton. That's gone wide though. But he was fouled. The referee was playing an advantage, and Fenton has hit the deck, and he looks to be pretty badly hurt. Colin Kavanagh's beside the referee.
Yeah, he was just taken a little bit late that time, actually, as he came in. Just Kavanagh came in with the boot, laid on him, got him right in the midriff. That is sore. And correctly, the referee gave a free in.
No wonder what does the Mayo contingent. Stephen Rothroyd is just blocked at the moment, but he's behind those two gentlemen. He's a very interested spectator here.
He'll certainly be impressed with what he has seen, and it'll give him food for thought over the next 3 weeks, there's no doubt about Dara. But after yesterday, I think the guys are on a kind of a little bit of a down day today. A lot of them, I think, have come to the game, stayed behind in Dublin last night, but Rochford certainly will be, jotting down every issue.
This was the big moment of the game after 5 minutes.
after 5 minutes, but actually the confidence that O'Callaghan showed and the quality of the strike was just top-notch.
Colm Kavanagh has been booked for the challenge on, who was it, Brian Fenton.
Yeah, he was the one that came in late with the boot on Brian
Yeah.
Fenton. He's very frustrated. He's trying to kind of, exhort the guys around him to up their performances, but so few of the Tyrone players have come close to kind of performing to the standards that they have set in the past, and it has been an easy ride for Dublin so far.
There's another one, Dean Rock. He started the scoring in the second minute with a point, 19-4.
Oh, it's been all Dublin, and Tyrone, just the response has been, to say it's muted is, has been kind to them.
2 minutes of added time at the end of what's been a very good first half for the All-Ireland champions, but a bad first half for Tyrone. They need to finish it on a high. Peter Hart has time and has put that one over the bar. It's their first score in over 18 minutes, and it's badly needed. That's a lovely one from Peter Hart.
Yeah, he came forward with purpose that time into the area that he's very strong, struck it well, just cleared the crossbar, but they need one or two more of those before the break if it's possible.
Will they have time?
I don't think so. I think the clock is, well, they have a little bit over a minute, and Dublin certainly aren't going to give them possession between now and the half-time whistle. And just look at it again, Dublin are doing what they want to, no pressure being applied whatsoever in their own half of the field. Just walking the ball out. There's no real stress on them whatsoever.
It's been an amazing first half.
It's been amazing first half. It's been a wonderful exhibition from Dublin, but the key score was the goal in the 5th minute. Conor O'Callaghan's strike gave them the cushion that they needed. They gave them the actual confidence to go and run at Tyrone and continue with the system that they started out with. Tyrone needed to remedy that and needed to change immediately, or certainly, if not immediately, very soon afterwards. But they have persisted with a system that on the day is just doing them no favours whatsoever.
But it had worked so well for them all during the course of the year, and this similar system worked very well for them in the league back in February when they had a 5-point lead going into the last 10 minutes. They were a man down and ended up drawing the match, but that night reportedly gave them the belief that they could beat Dublin, but the match has just started in completely the wrong way for them, and Dublin have done everything right, or pretty much everything right, apart from that moment from Paul Mannion, but it doesn't matter, and Dublin have a very, very healthy lead to take in at half-time. We expected a cliffhanger, a classic. It's been an exhibition by Jim Gavin's Dublin, and there's an awful lot for Mickey Hart and Tyrone to think about at half-time. They've got to do something drastic to get back into this All-Ireland semi-final. At the break, Dublin lead Tyrone by 1-9 to 5 points. We're back in a couple of minutes. The Tyrone team wearing number 18, one of the two Brennan boys. He's wearing number 18. Declan McClure came on just before the end of the first half, and Rory Brennan, well, regarded as a very tight man marker. There he is, picking up Niall Scully. So we're going to start the second half with Tyrone's Declan McClure in possession. Can they change this system, or at least make it work a little bit better, particularly at this end of the field where it has just really shut down for them? Kieran McGeary is the player who's gone off the Tyrone team to be replaced by Brennan.
Yes,
so they've a free in.
Yes, and a little bit more purpose in that first attack from Tyrone, going at pace, getting more players driving forward. I'd say there was a fairly blistering, shall we say, couple of comments from Mickey Hart during the half-time break. That's an encouraging start for the half.
And Peter Hart will take this free and narrow the gap. They took 5 out of their 9 scoring chances, Tyrone, in the first half. Dublin 10 out of 16. And Peter Hart slots that over for his 3rd point of this All-Ireland semi-final. Is that the beginning of the recovery?
Well, there seems to be a little bit more purpose about Tyrone, even in the way they're setting up for the Dublin restart.
Cluxton sending it all the way out. Colin Kavanagh winning that in the air. Now it's Tiernan McCann. McCann has Mark Bradley outside him, just had to put the brakes on. Declan McClure, and McClure has just tugged that one wide, so that's wide number 5, but it is certainly a more positive start from Tyrone, there's no question about that.
More positive and much more players this time getting forwards. They're a lot more orthodox in terms of setup.
Stephen Cluxton loses another kick out, went with a daisy cutter sort of thing. Colin Kavanagh and Sean at the heart of it. David Mulgrew wrapping around the outside, and Sean Kavanagh kicked her wide in the first half, I remember, and there's another one. So 3 scoring opportunities, they've missed up 2 of them.
Yeah, McClure and Sean Kavanagh, they're dispiriting misses. They would have actually set them up nicely and, you know, helped them in their cause had they got them.
Kieran Kilkenny and now Niall Scully for Dublin. Huge pace, it's John Small, a wall of 4 Tyrone players in front of him. Paul Mannion has been advised by Niall Scully to go back out for support, but he's taken it on himself, and Paul Mannion is the 5th out of the starting Dublin forwards to score today.
Yeah, lovely angle of running that time. Mannion very confident with the finish. Good reply from Dublin.
Tiernan McCann. Declan McClure, he's been good. McClure blocked down by Johnny Cooper, and Philly McMahon is on hand to pick up the loose ball. And they're all pointing and offering advice. Kieran Kilkenny fires the ball out to Dean Rock. Ahead of him is Paul Mannion. Paddy Anders available over the other side. Jack McCaffrey has gone ahead of the football at the moment. Con O'Callaghan inside. Mannion blocked down by Ronan McNamee. Niall Sludden on it for Tyrone. Padraig Hampsey. Surely there's got to be... Well, there has been more of a kick in Tyrone at the start of the second half. Peter Hart. Sean Kavanagh. Could this be his last day in that famous Tyrone jersey? Mark Bradley. Well, they've been forced around the outside, and Bradley, the smallest player on the pitch, is put under significant pressure. Cathal McCarran. Peter Hart. Aidan McCrory. Tyrone physio was coming onto the field, but I don't know who's gone down injured. They're all on their feet. Here's Matty Donnelly. They haven't really allowed him to get into the game. Declan McClure caught by Stephen Cluxton.
Third opportunity gone a begging. Some very good football from Tyrone in the opening moments of the half, spreading the ball around well, good interplay, but unfortunately from their point of view, end product nil.
Johnny Cooper. Con O'Callaghan was calling for that and getting it as well. Big gap right down the middle of the Tyrone defence. Philly McMahon, Con O'Callaghan. They have become, Dublin, so used to playing against these kind of defensive systems, but this is really the best we've seen of them against a really good one, and this had been and is normally a very effective defensive unit.
Yes, and they perfected the virtue of patience. They know when to go quickly, they know when to spread it wide, they know when to actually get guys to break the line, but they're just so well tutored. The interplay is excellent, and they're probing very good, and they know when to give the killer ball.
It is really strange. The place is full and you can hear the players shouting at each other.
That's right. I know the atmosphere like beforehand, the atmosphere during the actual parade beforehand was way more sulphurous than what we have had since the throw-in. I think a lot of it, you certainly cannot blame Dublin for it, rather. Dublin have played fabulous football, done what they wanted. They have assumed, authority of the game from the opening whistle. But at the outset of the second half, I think had Tyrone got those couple of points, it might have put a slightly different complexion on it.
Yeah, but as you mentioned, the 3 scoring opportunities. Darren McCurry, who is a lethal forward on his day, is going to come in for Tyrone. And I think Darren Daly is going to be introduced for Dublin. Yeah, that's going to be the next switch. And this, again, another long passage of Dublin possession, and then the tempo changes, the pace quickens, and who better to do that than Jack McCaffrey? McCaffrey, Tyrone just can't get near it. It looks like it's going to be Dublin's day unless Tyrone can do something very remarkable.
Well, no matter what system you have, if you have a superior calibre of player, then you're going to get scores like that. And McCaffrey is an absolute joy to watch. He was that time moving around kind of maybe in second gear. All of a sudden, he hits the turbo, and by God does he knife through Tyrone. A wonderful, confident finish.
There's Darren McCurry, or that's David Mulgrew going off. His place is taken by Darren McCurry, and
yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise in some respects to see David Mulgrew coming in. Okay, he was rewarded for the 2 goals and 4 points maybe he had scored coming off the bench primarily, but for a young lad it was a big ask.
Niall Sludden, a Tyrone goal and things could get interesting. Sludden trying to get past Keane O'Sullivan, trying to do it all himself, and that will help for sure. It's a point from Niall Sludden, and a very good one too. Their second of the second half.
Yes, Sludden just went for the gap, got inside. I think it was Keane O'Sullivan initially, got onto his left foot, fired a good score. He has a reasonable scoring record, but that's a very confidently taken point.
Philly McMahon. Niall Scully really has justified his late introduction to the team. Commentators cursed though as he was dispossessed by Colm Kavanagh. Peter Hart. Long, but there's Johnny Cooper sweeping in front of Sean Kavanagh, who had Mick Fitzsimons for company too.
Yes, but did you notice Kavanagh, the way he threw his hands up that time? He wanted the ball floated in high to him because he was in behind the defence, but unfortunately from a Tyrone point of view the trajectory was much too flat.
Paul Flynn will be in very shortly for Niall Scully. The calibre of substitutes that Dublin have on their bench, well, 7 of the players are 30 years or older, but, well, you get it from the surnames. Connolly, Brogan, Flynn, McManaman, McCauley, O'Gara.
Yeah, all proven winners, each and every one of them, all play all different styles of football, but at the end of the day, every one of them...
Now here's Darren McCurry, possibilities for Tyrone. They need a goal, and they're going to have to wait a wee bit longer. Niall Scully with the interception. Darren McCurry didn't even get the shot away. Now, Paul Mannion. Paddy Andrews is there with him. Mannion is upended. Somehow manages to hang on to the ball. Hampsey and Colm Kavanagh chasing him down, and Mannion taking this rather personally as he keeps the ball and then actually kicked it out of play, so Tyrone have it back. The Dublin change, Paul Flynn for Niall Scully.
Well, Scully will be happy enough with his showing during the day. Maybe the fact that he got a yellow card early on might have told against him, and Jim Gavin is just happy to give a little bit more game time to Paul Flynn, you know, who's been in and out during the year.
And Kevin McManaman is replacing Paddy Andrews. Again, it doesn't exactly weaken.
That's the point you made there a moment ago. The quality that comes in for the guys who are going off enhances the quality of the team rather than anything else. Wonderful, wonderful, proven winners, each and every one of them.
And Paddy Andrews, well, he did his stuff in the first half.
Yes, he got 2 superb scores at critical times early on. He got the second and third point, each of them, you know, well taken at a time when Dublin were trying to just establish themselves, and he'll be happy with his 40 minutes or so.
Cathal McCarron. Where is this goal going to come from? Oh, that was an interesting challenge on Sean Kavanagh, and Paul Flynn not beaten in that side-to-side challenge. Here's Brian Fenton, Kevin McManaman. Dean Rock runs ahead of him, Paul Flynn too, and that's out for Rock to chase, but getting across well for Tyrone is Padraig Hampsey.
Yeah, I think the 2 Dublin runners that time are going at a wrong angle actually for the ball passer, and they got in each other's way.
Cathal McCarron. Now, Darren McCurry has a bit of space to try and work some magic, but Peter Hart beaten by John Small. They've man-marked Peter Hart, and he has really got very little change out of a string of players who've picked him up. They've rotated on him.
Rotated on him. Small in particular, I thought, has been very effective on him, has been like glued to him from the word go. And as a consequence, Hart, I think, has only scored maybe a point, or no, he got one from a free and one from play in the first half, but he's had very little influence in the game.
Paul Mannion. Look at Jack McCaffrey. It was nearly good.
Yeah, bad pass. It was a bit of a hospital pass, to be honest with you. Maybe the right kind of one to give to a doctor.
Ronan McNamee. Sean Kavanagh. Matty Donnelly. What's that line about? Well, hammer the hammer. Dublin have gone after the really strong, influential players in this Tyrone team. Matty Donnelly, Sean Kavanagh, Peter Hart.
That's right, and just looking once more, their ability to turn over attacks, they're moving at a ponderous rate rather than coming in incisively. Dublin are not too inclined to get too many men forward. Just relax with the ball, play it laterally, wait for a bit of support to come up.
James McCarthy. First championship meeting since 2011. First time Jim Gavin has managed a Dublin team in the championship against Tyrone. Paul Mannion. Kevin McManaman fancies a goal. With Rory Brennan. McManaman through. McManaman! Oh! Crossbar! Would that have been Mulligan-esque? I don't know.
Oh, that was beautiful. Little slice up. The final one in particular was an absolute delight. Onto his left foot, hit the underneath of the crossbar. But that is typical of McManaman. Not in the script whatsoever. Just instinctively goes for the gap when he sees it. Very unlucky not to have actually got the onion bag once more.
That would have been warm up the bus stuff for sure. Aidan McCrory, Mark Bradley. That's a nice ball to Darren McCurry. McCurry. No. They just can't get it going. They can't get a break, Tyrone.
No, how many wides is that in the second half? The third, is it? Or the third or fourth? But the third or fourth opportunity to actually miss.
Have a look at this again from Kevin McManaman.
Oh yeah, look at, he charged it through one tackle, but I love the little show and go of Tiernan McCann. Very unlucky. I thought for a moment it might have got a deflection of was it Colin Kavanagh, but no, directly hit the crossbar and didn't get the finish the move actually deserved.
Ronan O'Neill replaces Mark Bradley on the Tyrone team.
Yeah, Mark Bradley has a thankless afternoon up there, as the boys were saying earlier, like 5'7", 5'8", or whatever, you know, in there in a one-man front forward. Like, there's not a hope of him getting the ball, in particular he's been marked by 2 or 3 guys.
Here's Kevin McManaman. Didn't get to come on the last day. He's got a point to prove to his manager. An advantage being played, free in.
Yeah, but just when you think it's safe, like, you know, and like if McManaman has come on a couple of moments ago, and you know, as a defender, you know, you have had your tongue out marking the guy who has just gone off. But McManaman will test every fibre in your body by running at you. And when he does it once, he'll do it again and again and again. This really makes a misery for a defender. Very, very difficult. It can make your afternoon very difficult. You know, as you know, in the past era, he has adorned games with excellent scores. Nearly got another one a moment ago.
Dean Rock with their third point of the second half. They haven't exactly been shooting the lights out since the match restarted, but they haven't needed to. Kildare were the only team to score a goal against Dublin in this year's championship. Tyrone really need one. Here's Peter Hart. That's Keane O'Sullivan in front of him. Hart is a bit isolated. Took it on with his right boot, wide. And they have created openings. That's
I think that's about
sure.
5 openings, and the word you used there in commentary, Dara, sums them up. He was isolated, not getting enough bodies up front to support him, to give him a passing option. So he had to take on the shot from his weaker foot, from a difficult angle, and the outcome was always going to be, you know, a wide ball.
Brian Fenton. Con O'Callaghan, Jack McCaffrey, they're in. The icing on the cake is still to be applied, and that's a long way wide.
Oh, well, there's such a bewildering array of options at the moment. McCaffrey in particular has come forward again and again. Lovely, quick interchange of passes. McCaffrey, he's a wing back at the end of the day. Maybe he's unused getting into situations like that.
He knows what to do when he gets in those situations. That, I suppose, you have to credit the goalkeeper coming out towards him as well and putting him off. But they brought Darren Daly on for John Small. Still, we haven't seen Diarmuid Connolly, and really in this situation it's the ideal time to bring him back into the inter-county fold.
Very much so, and again with the final in sight, you know, a guy who hasn't had any or very little match practice all summer. He's a guy who could do with 15 or 20 minutes to just get him up to speed.
Matty Donnelly. Well, look, we know that the defensive side of the game hasn't worked for Tyrone because of the way Dublin have played them, the pace, power, accuracy, all that stuff. But this year, the transition forward, the likes of Hart, Sludden and Donnelly for Tyrone, like this really did improve. But why has it not worked here?
It hasn't worked simply because the calibre of a player they're playing against is superior to what they played against in Ulster. And the other option they have is Sean Kavanagh in there to pull forward. Not once have to try to high ball into him.
Difficult day for Tyrone. Ciarán Kilkenny for Dublin.
Yeah, but the ease with which they're picking one another out is just kind of, you know, it's embarrassing in one respect. And the thing about them is their team play brims with menace then when they get into that final third, in particular when there are gaps down there. And we've seen both McManaman and McCaffrey on another day would have actually ended up with very promising moves with goals.
Conor Myler's going to be in for Tyrone. Ciarán Kilkenny. Just a surreal feel to this in an All-Ireland semi-final against a team that lots of people tipped to dethrone and knock Dublin out of the championship, that they're this far behind and in trouble to this degree. Con O'Callaghan fell, so another opportunity for Dean Rock to stretch it out even more.
Yeah, well, I was one actually who beforehand thought that Tyrone would cause Dublin endless trouble. I thought, you know, as we said even in our little preamble beforehand, I felt that there would be, you know, tactically very conservative, draw everybody back, frustrate Dublin, you know, to an extent that maybe Dublin would have to go for very long-range kicks. But that goal, I go back to it, that goal by O'Callaghan just simply changed the trend of the game completely, even though it was only in the early minutes of the game.
Another one for Dean Rock. 113 to 7 points, and Tyrone's Conor Myler with 25 on his back and on his front replaces Sean Kavanagh, and this is a sad moment, but I suppose a joyous moment for him as well after an incredible career. But it's the last time we will see him play in that jersey in Croke Park. Yeah. What a player he has been for his club, for his county and for this game. An absolute stunning, great player.
Great player, a poignant moment really, a game that really never ran from today, never got the service that he deserved to get, but he certainly will look back on his time with Tyrone with great pride.
Niall Sludden trying to weave his way through, and he's got past about 5 of those Dublin players, and they have a free in.
Yeah, Dublin will be a little bit cross with themselves that time, you know, just you know, conceding a free that time. That was a quite needless free to concede by Darren Daly. Gives, I think, Peter Hart another opportunity to score a point. But just going back to Kavanagh, some of his displays here, to remember, in 2005, 2008, were just out of this world. Wonderful football in his prime. But today, unfortunately, was a step too far.
So that's their third point of the second half, and Peter Hart has got 2 out of the 3 of them from place balls.
Yeah, and remember beforehand, Dara, we talked about that. We talked about the actual restarts. There hasn't been any great pressure put on Dublin once. Dublin's first one, remember, was a long ball out to Scully, and I think Tyrone have been, a little bit unsure of themselves whether to push up or whatever, but they haven't managed to disrupt him whatsoever with his restarts.
Kevin McManaman, Paul Flynn. Speaking of pace and power, and Flynn will be cross with himself for sure that he didn't force more of a save out of Niall Morgan. But they've got him back fit at the right time of the year. Michael Darragh Macaulay is on the bench for them as well. Owen O'Gara, Bernard Brogan and Michael Darragh Macaulay are the three Dublin players who are warming up at the moment. Matty Donnelly, just keep listening to the noise or lack thereof around it. It's a surreal atmosphere.
And just watching the knot of Dublin defenders in front of their D, preventing that channel through the middle being exploited.
Colm Kavanagh, and that's how you beast the blanket, be accurate from a good distance out, and he just sort of throws his arms out to his side in frustration.
Yes, an excellent score from Colm Kavanagh, but I would agree with the boys that incident, that kick on that followed through on Fenton early or late in the first half, deserved actually a red card.
Ronan McNamee's interception, Declan McClure, Tiernan McCann, and Ronan O'Neill is in close to the Tyrone or the Dublin goal. Niall Sludden, and Sludden puts over another one. That is more like it from Tyrone, and there's a bit of a reaction from their large travelling support in Croke Park. That's 3 points in a row for Tyrone.
Three in a row. Hart, Colm Kavanagh and Sludden, that one from a difficult angle. Dublin may be getting a little bit complacent, and understandably so. There are still 6 points in it. Vicky Hart will be, happy with the response like in the last couple of moments, but Dublin have gotten to sleep a little bit, probably don't feel that they have to put, full energy into it to actually just keep in front of Tyrone.
6 between them. Tyrone still need that goal. Jack McCaffrey could have had a second Dublin goal. Mick Fitzsimons, James McCarthy.
Yes, but they're not committing men forward to the extent that they were in the first half, Dar. You notice there's still 3 or 4 Dublin defenders back in their own half of the field. It's a case of, we'll protect what we have and not concede, as you said, 3-pointers.
They've been conceding an average of 12 points, just over 12 in the championship, which until today was the same as Tyrone.
That's 146 or 147 each, I think it was, in terms of what both teams have conceded.
Podge McNulty is going to come in for the Ulster champions.
Now Tyrone have to take a chance and move up a little bit here. There is no point in them 6 points down, everybody getting back behind the ball.
Paul Flynn has space and has the ability to shoot from long range, and you've just seen that again.
Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But what was a peach there was that beautiful little dinged reverse pass from Kevin McManaman to put Flynn in space, and he did the rest. Handsome point straight between the sticks.
That's Podge McNulty, or Torrig McNulty. Ronan McNamee's gone off. Suffered a knock in the first half, Ronan McNamee. He's had a really good year, but it's going to end on a disappointing note.
Yes, I suppose a recognised man marker, but when there wasn't anybody in there to man mark today, so to speak, he was made, rendered redundant to a certain extent.
Dublin's last defeat in the championship, and it's kind of been a defining defeat for the development of this team, was that semi-final against Donegal in 2014. And you see still the implications of that right now with the way they defend and how the team evolved and changed under Jim Gavin after Jim McGuinness's Donegal beat them in the semi-final.
Yes, that was a seminal moment, I think, in their development, a big surprise at the time.
Here's Matty Donnelly, and that's another one that's gone wide. So that's their 9th wide, and they've kicked 5 of those in the second half.
That's right, and 1 or 2 is short at that time, so they have, you know, they haven't made the most of the opportunities they have got from, you know, which is unfortunate. It certainly would have improved the spectacle, you know, the game as a contest, but Dublin are very much in control.
Ronan O'Neill gave Cian O'Sullivan an anxious moment or two.
You know, as I said earlier, Dara, I just believe myself that Tyrone were ill prepared for the place and the variety and the quality that Dublin have, and they weren't tested in Ulster this year whatsoever. Today has been a little bit of a culture shock to them, and Dublin are a team at the moment that are very much at the top of their form.
Well, Martin, as well, just talk about Dublin, because you know they were pushed for a bit against Monaghan, a bit again for a time against Kildare as well. But let's just follow what Jack McCaffrey is doing here, sprinting right through, cutting through the Tyrone cover, and well, on another day that kind of an opportunity might matter. But I think Dean Rock is going to get away with it today.
You get away with it today, but that's a bad miss. That's a great incision by McCaffrey that time. You know, putting it on the plate for Rock, and he should have made more of that.
Here's Declan McClure. They've missed their last couple of scoring opportunities, but that one has gone over the bar, and that's a really nice score from Declan McClure in the 63rd minute.
Yeah, and Jim Gavin will be a bit disappointed with that, because that all came as a kind of a weak shot at the other side of the ground that should have been actually finished. But the counter-attack from Tyrone, very effective that time, and a handsome score. Owen
O'Gara is on for Dean Rock, wearing number 25. But just to pick up on that point, you know, how Dublin are able to pitch it at this level when they haven't really been pushed to the pin of their collar in the championship in 2017.
No, they're an extraordinary team there. They can play to whatever conditions that a team puts before them. And today, okay, they had to realise themselves they had to kind of come up against a blanket defence. They realised then to do that they had to go wide, they had to keep patient. They did that to great effect. When opportunities came then to kind of go through the middle at pace and get scores, they also did that. They were able to take scores from distance, scores close in, but they just have that great capacity to vary their game dependent on the quality of opposition that's put in front of them.
And they're still full of running. Kieran Kilkenny was one of the players who started, same as Jack McCaffrey and Johnny Cooper, and the confidence to run it out of defence when Tyrone had tried to push up on them.
Yeah, they're so well conditioned though, it's extraordinary. Their levels of fitness are simply wonderful. Their running power, their strength in the tackle, their ability to break tackles, just, you know, a great credit to the people who are looking after their own fitness regime.
Well, that all began, that kind of messy bit, from this challenge from Darren McCurry.
Yeah, I
what
think
followed was unnecessary.
Yeah, he pushed him in the back, but I think the left hand caught him on the face. But I don't think, in fairness, there was anything malicious whatsoever about that. McCurry probably will pick up a booking for it, but just watch it. He gets him certainly on the side of the head or in the face with his left hand.
Let's go, come on!
The referee, more than likely, he probably will issue a card. I imagine it'll be a yellow one.
The noise you're hearing, well, actually for a moment I thought Diarmuid Connolly was going to be coming in, but it's not actually. It looks like it's going to be Eric Lowndes.
Eric Lowndes, I think maybe.
But I think for a minute they thought
they recognised number 12.
Yeah, 12.
Yeah. Yeah, once more we're seeing Tyrone chasing shadows, gaps appearing now at the back, and Dublin breaking at pace to try and exploit those gaps.
Darren Daly fell awkwardly. I think he's going to be all right, but various things just seem to jar into the turf there. But he's back to his feet, and a swig of the water bottle, he'll be fine. Paul Flynn doesn't score ordinary points. They all go miles up into the sky. That's 2 in a row for him. They've both been special. 5 minutes to go. Well, Eric Lowndes is getting a huge reception.
Yeah,
I'm not necessarily sure it's for him.
No, I think people...
Special and all as he is.
Yeah, the thing is, Diarmuid Connolly actually has come in because of the number 12 jersey on his back, but it is the biggest cheer of the day. In fact, it's the biggest cheer probably anyway since the goal by Conor Callaghan earlier on.
It's Paul Mannion who's going off.
Yeah, but Mannion's work rate, Mannion's ability to run at pace, Mannion's ability to kind of link play has been superb. There we have the man that they're all kind of hoping to see.
And the cheer now is because his face has been put up on the big screen. So that's clarified.
Yeah, but it looks actually 4 minutes to go or so that we're not going to see any of them today.
Apart from on the big screen.
On the big screen, yeah. Maybe there's a movie career before.
Sunday game. Kevin McManaman. What exactly happened here? The notebook is out and the yellow card has been issued to Kevin McManaman.
Actually, that's one of the issues about the game today, Dara. You know, I expected a very fiery game, a lot of very heavy, you know, borderline tackling. But really, apart from the Colin Kavanagh one in the first half, there hasn't been anything that you would have kind of, you know, raised the temperature or kind of caused problems to guys.
They normally bring out the wrong kind of spirit in each other, and we've seen that over the years as Tiernan McCann takes on the shot on just shy of the 20-metre line. Johnny Cooper. Just they are not going to concede a goal. They still have plenty of players back there, or they're going to try their very best not to concede a goal, Dublin.
No, their concentration is still very much on this game. They're keeping players back. They're giving the ball to runners like Kevin McManaman here to carry it forward. But even with that, everybody's staying back.
Conor Callaghan. Nice. Eric Lowndes. Look at Darren Daly to his left. Daly can go to O'Gara. They're in again, and there is the icing on the cake. This three-in-a-row dream is still alive. The hard lifting done pretty much in the first half. Conor Callaghan's goal in the 5th minute set them on their way, and they haven't looked back since. And Tyrone will head home. A beaten team tonight, and badly beaten.
Oh, well beaten, dispirited completely. Darren Daly very unselfish that time. O'Gara in the right place, just flicked it to death nonchalantly. But that sums up the Dublin play today. Very, very skillful when they had to be, clinical in their execution when the opportunities arose. You know, like that. But just they're so vastly superior to Tyrone that, you know, it makes Mayo's task in the All-Ireland final a very, very, very difficult one.
Peter Hart, there goes the long ball in towards Colin Kavanagh, and a comfortable catch for Stephen Cluxton. Dublin last did a 3 in a row. Well, it was 1921 to 1923. Diarmuid Connolly is going to come in. Here's Jack McCaffrey. McCaffrey heading back for support. He didn't like what he saw ahead of him, or there weren't enough blue shirts. James McCarthy. Kevin McManaman. Eric Lowndes have got into a good position. Owen O'Gara, the goal scorer's got through again. O'Gara, point. Lovely score. And wait to hear the roar.
Here he comes.
85 days since he last played for the Dublin senior footballers. Diarmuid Connolly, the will he won't he saga was all through the build-up to this game. He didn't start. He's going to get to play a couple of minutes, and then he can start to really compete for his place in the All-Ireland final.
Yeah, he'll be glad to get some game time, and as you say, he is some option to be able to bring on to your team, you know, not having been on it for most of the summer. But just going back to that last couple of scores, the decision-making of the Dublin players when they get into scoring, you know, positions has been wonderful.
And the referee's given a penalty for a foul by Philly McMahon on Colin Kavanagh. He's given a penalty. He had a perfect view of that, David Coldrick, but there was contact between them. Have a look.
Oh, a most unnecessary one to concede that time. Philly McMahon is raging with himself. The ball was coming in, it was going wide, but he did clatter into the back of Colin Kavanagh, and it is a correct decision.
Now, Peter Hart scored a penalty against Armagh. He put it to the goalkeeper's right. We're in added time. There's going to be 4 minutes, as you can see. David Coldrick getting the players back outside the 20-metre line. Hart wants to get on with it very quickly. This has to go in, and it doesn't. He hit it straight down the middle. Dublin, well, that was the last glimmer of hope for Tyrone. Dublin on their way to the final for sure.
Oh, they're on the way. They have been on the way to the final for a long time, Darragh. They've been so vastly superior to Tyrone today. The Tyrone challenge has been a major disappointment. I would have expected an awful lot more from them. But I think it symptomised in some respects, where Ulster football has gone just this year. It hasn't been as competitive or as high quality as we've seen in recent times.
And Dublin have been on a completely different level from pretty much the first couple of minutes.
Yes, and you've got to compliment the attitude of the Dublin players and the way they have to, continue to kind of play to the levels of excellence that they set themselves earlier on. It would have been easy to kind of go back and rest at their laurels at different times during the game. But look at the way they're still powering ahead.
And still hungry for possession. 2-12 of Dublin's total of 216 scored from play. And people expected a low-scoring, tight, dour game. I used the word suffocating myself just on the throw-in. There is the penalty. Just not far enough into that corner. Look, they're all bad penalties when they're saved or you miss. But
well, I often think too at that height, Darragh, it makes it easier for a goalkeeper to get to it. I think it was that same point that actually hit the penalty the last time I'd seen him. But it was a little bit more left
of the corner.
Yeah.
But Tyrone have been, well, just put out of the game from early on.
From early on, they've been well and truly beaten. They can't have any complaints about it. They have been the lesser of two teams. I mean, Dublin have been so combative, so so much quality, team play excellent, decision making excellent, and finishing top class.
Niall Sludden, and that one's gone wide.
Yeah, there was a period at the beginning of the second half when they had 3 or 4 opportunities to actually get scores. Now, had they got them, I think it would have made for a better contest. But I think the outcome was always going to be just one way, and that was always going to be a Dublin win. But this Dublin team has grown in maturity, like over the years. It's just at its optimum best at the moment.
Dermot Connolly beaten to possession by Padraig Hampsey. Podge McNulty breaks down, and there's 3 Dublin players screaming for it, and just 1 back for Tyrone, and now 2 actually, and Owen O'Gara's been picked up by Cathal McCarron. Paul Flynn, as they go for goal number 3. That's a really good stop from Niall Morgan. Paul Flynn's shot.
But I think Paul Flynn had a kind of an embarrassment of options to him that time. He had McMenamin in his side. Would be flitting that he didn't get the ball.
But since he's come on, he's got a hat-trick of points.
Yeah, just watch this again. He had 2 guys outside him, O'Gara and McMenamin. McMenamin was really looking for the pass that time to walk it into the net, but Flynn took the responsibility, eventually put the rebound over.
Ball back in motion. And after coming up short against Mayo in the quarter-final last year, the feeling in Tyrone was that they were not quite ready for a challenge of this magnitude, that they were better prepared this year, and they have put an awful lot into their preparation and their conditioning. New players to come into the team certainly made a difference, but ultimately they haven't been ready for this Dublin team on this day, and well, they're going to fall short again, and we'll have to wait another year to get to an All-Ireland final. But Jim Gavin, with, there were some doubts there, Martin. We mentioned it beforehand. People were questioning this aspect and that aspect, but they've answered all of those questions.
And I think, what was a good thing for them, Darragh, to lose the league final to Kerry. It actually got them to read folks. It got them to realise that they're not infallible. And I think they redoubled their efforts then for the championship. They've won all of their games in Leinster very easy, but it has become a turkey shoot. But there's the win for them.
And there is the whistle. And Peter Hart has belted the ball into the crowd. Dermot Connolly actually was walking towards the tunnel before the referee blew the full-time whistle. Tyrone's dreams of getting to another All-Ireland final end, but Dublin, this bid to win 3 in a row and go where no team has gone from Dublin since the early 1920s, well, that will continue against Mayo. We're going to have a repeat of last year's All-Ireland final. Dublin have beaten Tyrone and beaten them extremely well by 217 to 11 points here in Croke Park. And